Hello, everyone. This is Dandy Dragon, and we are here for part 2 of the Imperial eco testing. And now, this is very unique and different from the others. This is specifically under the same conditions of all the other civs, or all the other tier lists for the civs, but now we are including the idea that we're now an hour into the game. We're talking not just what's your resources per minute, but your ability to mass armies, because in the end this is a war game and we are making military. And to discuss this with me and look over this tier list, we have Sir Pengwin, who is here with us again. Penguin, give your shout outs to yourself here.
Hi, Dandy. Thanks for having me back once again. I'm a Twitch streamer and YouTuber here in the AoE community. I've been expanding a little bit more to some other games and things like that lately, but yeah, I'm excited to get into this grind fest we have here.
Yep. This is your Grindfest potential ecos. Discounted military, free military, and resources per minute, including villagers and trade. We are not looking at water. And to start us off, we have Byzantines, who have not a lot going for them, funnily enough. They were upper B tier before, then they were B tier, then they were upper B tier, and now they are kind of bottom of the barrel B tier. That the free military from olive oil is helpful. You can get the free military from Palatine School, but then you're giving up your really good siege, which is basically really cheap, relatively speaking, because it's free olive oil. But you're not getting anything major. Like, their food economy isn't super insane. Their trade doesn't have any big bonuses to gold. So we're looking at like kind of a B tier civ. They're average in the grinding potential. So yeah,
Kind of makes a lot of sense. Once you get to that stage of the game, the stage of the game that everybody hates. Everybody here watching this is like, oh yes, my favorite part of the Age of Empires match, the late game, right?
Yep.
No. So that being said, I think you get to Byzantine in the late game, and you end up in that situation where the oil has been really good for propelling your army up to that point, right? It's been good for getting your feudal army out to defend, so you can go castle age, or getting enough units to all in your enemy because you'll have that edge. But at this point, oil is maybe a tiny portion of all that food you're getting. So it doesn't give you this crazy edge. It's just going into maybe some siege that you're not gathering gold for anyway. So you can buy more spears, so you can buy more, cataphracts, whatever.
Yep. And the real strength that I see from Byzantines is their foreign engineering company giving them olive oil for siege, which means that if you're in a situation where there's no more gold on the map and trade wasn't an option, they always have a way to have siege, which is in of itself very nice. So
it's quite powerful in the context of the game, but I feel like in the context of this macro grind, it kind of makes sense that it's not something that's going to carry them. It's not their carry. It's just there to support them.
Yep. Also, please, ads, go away. We don't need the commercial in the corner.
Is Toyota back? No, not Toyota. No, all right.
Not Toyota. Different thing. I don't mind like most ads as long as they're not blocking stuff, but I prefer to avoid human anatomy like pictures. Suffice it to say. But we're moving on to Japan. It was a tampon commercial.
Oh.
Don't need that on my AoE 4 tier list. Though we do need this nice furniture. Guys, look, $560 for Outdoor Oasis. Create your own.
Oh, that'll go great on my apartment ground floor.
Yes, beautiful. But back to the actual important thing. We're going to Japan, who is once again right there with Byzantines. These guys have just been hanging out whole game.
Yeah.
They got the free siege, which is basically olive oil. They have your Ashiros, which are giving the free resources, which once again kind of works towards the olive oil. They have a really good gather rate for gold because they get stone from gold and they get gold from stone. And then they have really good efficient farms. They're just some nice bonuses and puts them right there in the middle. Just an average civ.
They spent all too much stone on a palace and one keep. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're
That's the
fine. You're
bitter
fine.
Japan player in me.
No, you're
That's
fine.
all right. That's all right.
It's okay. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the lovely thing. We're gonna move past that because there's not a lot to say here. We're back to Ayubid and Abbasid. And you want to know where Abba is? Abba has not left A tier. That Imperial economy, once you have the Golden Ages all done, you have all your eco upgrades from Economy Wing, you have all your trade upgrades, we are looking at a strong eco civ. They're doing well. They're solid. They can make infinite spears and camels and just screw you. They're going to keep throwing trash at you until the cows come home.
Yeah, and they get tier 5. They're the only civ in the game that technically has like another age tier, sort of. Not in units and everything, but definitely in eco.
Yeah, they in a sense get all of their age ups, which is kind of like China and Zushi in a sense. But in a sense, they have a 5th age up, which maybe you could consider the dynasties. Maybe.
Yeah, I thought about that. All my AoE 3 chads out there should be playing China and Abbasid, and I guess Templars now.
Yep. Which, fun fact, we will be heading in to the next civ, which once again, is this the way I do this, or is this the way I do it? I need to do the things. Add a row below. Once again, you need to go down here. D needs to be under C. Ayubid, hello, my friend. You're still utter garbage.
Ayubid tier.
Ayubid has their own nice Imperial civ tier. They live here. They live here underneath every other civ in the game. This is where they stay. This is where they belong. We all hate Ayubid in 1v1s, but we accept it because we know we never see them in team games or FFAs.
True. Ayubid tiers belong in team games.
There's no reason to go onto them. They literally have almost nothing economically. They have the worst trade in the game. They're just bad.
Yeah.
They're bad.
It makes sense. You get into that late Imperial period. Their value comes when they age up every age because that value is instantaneous. It's fast. Yep. It's, I have 10 more villagers now. It's, I have 12 more units now. It's something weird like that, right? But you don't see that once you're deep in the game.
Yep. So suffice it to say, this is where they're standing. Which now let's just go back to China. And finally, China is better than Byzantines. We've reached the limit.
That's that boom civ.
Yeah, we finally have all our eco upgrades. We have all our dynasties. We've put all our stuff. We're making military, and this is the big caveat. What you do is you want a imperial official where you have your feudal landmark and you put all your military around it to give you the double tax collection. That is what keeps this civ in the game. That is it.
Tracks.
Yep.
And you have to build your Great Wall Gatehouse on all your granaries.
Yeah, you gotta get your granaries, you gotta get Great Wall Gatehouse, you have all your dynasties, you have your unique upgrade, you're pumping out military, giving you tons of tax to collect, and it's all very quick because it's just in one location, they don't have to walk far. Finally, China has boomed. And honestly, you know what, I kind of feel like I should put this something in between here. For these guys, kind of this actual kind of, I want to do this here just for these guys because there's that much of a difference, but they're that much above C. These two, like China is way better than these two, but these two are way better than C tier. Funnily enough, there's just kind of in this weird in between spot.
Right.
Which then brings us to Zushi, and once again, this is where imperial officials start to make a difference, and they're going to be.
I knew it. I just slammed my fist on the desk. I saw it coming. Yep. I saw it coming a whole video ago.
Yep. They weren't awful. Imperial officials are helpful, but you got to get to the point where you're pumping infinite army, where you're just throwing crap at the wall. finally Imperial officials tax collection, and Zushi gets extra. It has an extra 2, so finally they can supervise everything. They're getting taxed at double the speed. They are doing good things. And finally, Zushi is proving that it can, in fact, be a proper boom civ late game. So yeah, we finally have these two. They are finally justified as a boom civ now that we're in late hour-long Imperial.
And now you see splash damage bombards rolling towards your base.
And the toughest or second toughest knight in the game. I have not done military testing yet, guys, so I don't know where the Imperial Guards go against the new Templar Knights. So I think the Templar Knights probably beat them, though, would be my guess, but we'll see in the future. And now we are to my favorite civ, French and JD. I'm just gonna say this now. Finally, I am vindicated as a JD and French player, making nothing but infinite knights, using my perfect economy split of 60-60, 60 villagers, 60 traders. JD has discounted siege. I finally have enough consecrates to have all of my army discounted. And we, in fact, have the very first, for the first time, SS plus tier civ. They are so far above everyone else in terms of the grind fest. It is crazy. You can be roughly making 45 to 60 knights per minute. No problem.
I might make an addendum to this. Maybe we should just be S plus plus.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's just get S plus. We'll just do that. But
yeah. I don't know. It felt weird. I saw it and I'm like, I can't. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dandy.
I'll do it just for you, Penguin. Just for you.
Thank you.
But genuinely, dude, it was crazy. I'm like, I can't get JD and French to have good eco. I'm like, okay, hold on. What, like, because when we're looking at Imperial, how is French always keeping up with everybody else? I'm like, wait, they have the discount for military. So for every 2 knights they make, the third one is basically allowing them to get a third one or a fourth one for free. So is it 30% off? So if every knight is a third off, now suddenly you're making 1 knight extra for every 3, which is really starts to add up in a grind fest. When you're just throwing resources at the wall, trying to win, suddenly these 2 civs are in their peak element. This plus the knight rating through all of feudal and castle is why these guys are an amazing team civ.
I may hate playing against, HRE, dislike playing against Mongols, but nothing gives me more dread than seeing the Red Palace land and I haven't done any damage to French.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's for this reason. If they could get to a later part and I haven't done any damage to them, oh boy.
Yep, if they've been left untouched, they have Red Palace, or better yet for JD, because she can discount her siege. Having discounted Royal Siege is insane. Or just French having like 20 keeps all with the Red Palace upgrade. Like, you're not raiding them. They're making insane cheap military. Like, JD is arguably the only civ that can go a siege-only army with JD herself, because she can heal her siege, give her siege an attack speed boost, can make Royal Revolquins, Royal Culverins, Royal Cannons, Mangonels, and can basically beat any army comp. And yeah, you just can't beat it. Like 10 Revolquins,
you must have
10
been one
Mangonels.
happy camper when those cannons had area of effect splash damage, huh? You must have loved that, Dandy.
I actually, it was bad. It wasn't very good. I wish it was good. I liked it at first. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need mangonels anymore. Oh, this does like nothing for splash damage. The new changes to the Royal Cannon is actually something I like better, because what you do
kind of disintegrate.
Yeah, well, the thing is you basically have trebs for cannons for trebs for 1 volley with like 50% more damage or whatever it is. So with like 8 Royal Cannons, you can one-shot a fully upgraded Elsbach.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, you had a keep? No, you didn't. It is gone.
And then 40 knights raid into your base.
Yeah. So, like, genuinely, when it comes to the grindfest of eco, these two are some of the best. So, yeah, there we are. Then we go on past them with Knights Templar. And finally, now that they've had an hour to get every single keep, they've managed to reach that 120 eco. Finally, they have all their upgrades. We have Knights Templar is now one of the best eco civs. Finally, they've done it. They've made it.
Is this assuming you've gobbled up like all the stone on the map and built like 20 fortresses? Like
yes. Technically eight. You just need 8.
Okay.
Yeah, but you all your allies are like, hey, we need stone walls. You're like, you want stone walls, but hear me out. I want 8 more keeps.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear your stone walls, but may I offer stone wall keep? There's like, it just dots instead of solid.
Yeah. Oh, you're worried about Mongol raids? You don't need to worry about Mongol raids. I'll go attack the Mongol player. Wait, they're in my base. Oh well. No defense.
I made genitors because it's a 4. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
right?
But in terms of eco, they are actually very good. Villager gather rates, their wood is very good. They have good gold, obviously. Their monasteries, when near the keeps, have extra 20% gold, which is nice. You have the pilgrims, which take up no pop space and give you a lot of gold when you have all 10. Then if you go for it, you can get Venetian traders, which once again, as we mentioned before, are NASCAR drivers. Like 5 of them are equal to 15 traders, so you have a lot of gold coming from only a few sources, and they are literally unraidable. You cannot raid Venetian traders. Horsemen, hit them once and never touch them again. So yeah,
I remember the first time I saw them running, I was shook. I knew that they were powerful, but I hadn't actually seen them yet when I first used them.
Yep.
And I looked up and I was like, wait, what was that? And it just like this dot flying across the screen.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And now, Pengwin, bask in your glory. HRE is kind of bad.
I don't believe it.
I
refuse.
You as Delhi have better food per minute than Aachen HRE, because either your free elephants will then equalize to their Aachen, or you go for the Hussar Academy and you have just way better food. They may have the relics, but now like relic bonuses don't, like, it's like, oh, you have another 240 gold per minute. Okay, 240 gold is no longer significant. We're at the point when we're talking like almost 10,000 resources per minute. 200 is inconsequential. Yeah, they suck. Like, arguably could go to C tier. like if you're on all Vil, like if every civ is on Vils only, yeah, they're probably up to like C plus, maybe B. But once we start including trade, like having trade or just the free Revoltquins from like Japan is going to be above them. HRE,
I will
Imperial is weak.
That is one thing about Holy Roman Empire. There's no free units. There's nothing that you can like do that doesn't cost something. That's why you have the regnants. That's why there's the Aachen. I can accept that. When I'm being logical and temper my feelings once again, I can accept that. But it kind of feels free in Castle Age, Dandy. I'm not over it.
Yep, I understand. That castle scar, like they came in and they whipped you, and now they're like old and decrepit, and you're like, I still want to hate you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which brings Order of the Dragon, who's just right there next to him. Not like this castle monsters, like they're just they're down. They're only not the worst because Ayubit exist.
Right. I think it's like one of those things because people talk about them in FFA. Now, I don't play a lot of FFA, but a couple of times I have randomed into FFA for funsies. And every time I've been HRE on the random ladder, the quick queue, I've won.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the Imperial Age. It's not because of the late game. It's because I take sacred sites at like 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I am the most powerful at that moment.
Yeah. No
It
one
is
can
not because
stop
they're
me.
late game. I am not under attack, but there is no one who can stop me at that point. There's like 3 other players on the map, and they all show up, but I've got like 20 mangonels ready to go. You know, that's why.
Yeah.
Just for you FFA players who are like, how do I do this? You gotta think about the moments, the timings, and if somebody's grabbing the sacred sites, maybe try to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the fact that HRE has one of the fastest castle timings into men-at-arms, which means when everyone else is like, oh, I'm starting to go castle, they have 50 men-at-arms in your base, and then they just snipe your king. Now they have 50 more pop. They have all the relics. They're going to go into the middle, go Imperial, drop L's back in the middle of 3 nearby sacred sites, makes 5 cannon towers, every single one of them with a sacred site or with a relic emplacement. And then they just take sacred sites at like 20 minutes and nothing can touch it.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't play a lot of FFAs, but I'm a bit of a bloodthirsty FFA player. I usually lose because of that, because I want to make 50 units and dive like 3 other people's bases. Yeah, that's what I get though for doing that. But yeah.
And now finally, Delhi has finally done it. They have surpassed HRE, and they're hanging out with the mid-tier boys.
Yes, Dandy. Where we belong.
Finally, your extra 10% carry capacity has finally paid off. Your free, 1,000 food per minute from Hisar Academy allows you to have a better food economy than HRE. Your trade has no bonuses, but that's not what matters here. You have
I like to talk about
vills.
macro keeps a lot on stream, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm playing as Delhi. I'm under attack. Maybe I'm on the back foot, and I'm like, okay, I have to boom a little bit. I have a cheeky little macro build here called a keep. And I just use that for my farm, my farm eco, you know? That's a nice thing about Delhi as you get later into the game. Elephants. We're working on it. I think I'm working on it. But anyway, yeah. That feels right. That's where we belong.
Yep. Which now, finally, we are back to English. Can we guess where English is? Where do they stand? Finally, Ayub has a friend, and it's called English. They're so bad. It's so bad.
What is the farm rate? It's what, like 15% from like 0? Like, it's not good.
It's so bad.
It's not good.
No free military, no trade bonus. The gold, if you have all villagers on food, you'll have you now equivalent to the baseline Roos hunting cabins with the 100 vills on golds. I am sorry. You
can't show A-Man this video. He's gonna lord it over me forever. That his English. It just, look how bad they are, Sir Pengwin. Yeah. Look, Sir Pengwin. Remember that video Dandy made? And I'm gonna have to live with this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you can, guys. I'm sorry to say this. If English and you have been playing for an hour and a half in a grind fest in Age of Empires 4 in a 4v4. I am sorry. If you're losing to English, it's because of your own faults. English has no economy. They only maintain military because they're better at keeping their army alive.
You know what I've always told people in my chat and whatnot is, like, I think England is one of those civs, and I can put them right there with, like, who was it I said the other day? There's some civs that, like, if you're a better player, you should beat them. There's just some civs that, like, if you're better than the English player you're against, you should probably beat them. Yep. I'm sorry, that English player is better than you guys.
Yep. English is not beating you because their farms are broken anymore. Maybe, like, 3 seasons ago, we could argue something like that. Now, as it currently stands, with the possibilities, they just either have a better Imperial army, which is fair. Hey, 30% attack speed, like longbows, knights, and like revolt twins will be just about anything. But in terms of like, if they lose an army and you lose an army simultaneously, you should make a better, stronger, faster army than English without a question. Like, I'm sorry, anyone like besides these four, that's all these guys should just be running over English and Imperial. Like late Imperial hour into the game. Like, if these civs are struggling versus English, it's because they're better at fighting than you. That's it.
Remember when every pro game was HRE English?
I remember
And
them, everyone was
it would
complaining
go
about
like
it.
an hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna move past that though, and we're gonna look at House of Lancaster. And guess what, dude? When we were talking about like the free siege in the last video and their manners and stuff, dude, it has really started to pay dividends, and they're right there with ABBA.
Yeah, that tracks.
A free
That tracks. I
Revoltquin
can't
every
argue with
minute, free food, wood, and gold, all safe. That it's a nigh unrateable civ. They don't even need a lot of good army. Their armies are never expensive to begin with. They're just making spearman, archer, and then some good siege. And they just, everything loses armor against them. Like, they just are throwing cheap army. They're grinding forever. Their armies are just super cost efficient, and they have good eco. So yeah. House of Lancaster, A tier boom civ into the very late end of the line of the game.
So putting it right up there next to Abbasid, I gotta say, like, as Abbasid's my second most played civ easily. They're pretty close to my Delhi. Mm-hmm. I can feel that, like, with the Lancasters, right? I'm one of the few players who hasn't complained that much about Lancasters. I'll be the first to admit, except when I'm like getting crushed as my Delhi, right? But when I play Abbasid against Lancaster, it feels like a pretty good matchup. Call me crazy, but I actually think that the Abbasid Lancaster matchup's kind of fun because of this. Because you kind of like end up in a situation where the whole time you're kind of out, you're booming and you're racing, and then you all end up in the same place anyway.
Yep. Yeah, it is kind of funny. And then in a team game or FFA or somewhere where you could do something like this, where you're just booming for 20 minutes for no reason, and then you get into the endless grind. Like, ABBA did better in Feudal and Castle, but then Imperial came around, and suddenly, like, which most long running games, like, or style of games, like team games, are going to go into, suddenly House of Lancaster is just like, they're there to go for you punch for punch. They're not going to hold back, and they're not. So good for HOL, honestly. Like, bad boom.
This is why I'm pro 2v2, though. This is why I'm a 2v2 stand.
Fair enough. We're going to go into Malians, though. Malians, right there with Knight Templar. They are one of the best boom civs in Imperial. They can throw armies out forever. Yeah, there's not much to it.
Yeah, you heard my silence, because my first reaction was, well, they die a lot in Imp 2, but I think the fact is that their units don't quite scale the same way other units do into Imperial, because they have to be a counter unit.
Yeah.
I think that's the hard part with them.
Yeah.
If you mess that up, you're dead.
And here's the thing. I'm going to say this now. If you're not doing Grand Fulani Corral and you want a better army, then you're looking them down here below House of Lancaster, or kind of like around it. With Grand Fulani, they're above. Without it, they're kind of with the A tier. They're just barely S tier. So, but they're still a good economy. And if you know,
Freeborn might be worth it these days. Freeborn might be worth it these days.
Yeah, genuinely. So yeah, I think it's really kind of a choice. You give up a little bit of economy for your better infantry? Honestly, I think the choice is: are you going infantry or are you going Sofa? If you're going Sofa, you want the Corral. If you're going infantry, you want the Farimba. So that's all there is to Malians. And I'm going to say this. We're going to skip Mongols. Normally this is Mongol spot. We're going to save them for last, guys. Ottomans, though. Ottomans, it's finally found their place in the sun. And they're doing well right there with China and Zushi.
Not a bad place for them. Not a bad spot.
Yeah. You survived the hellhole that was Ottoman eco and feudal and castle. And now finally finally, as Ottomans, you can do something. You're not the worst anymore.
I would have loved to see this list when Ottomans could survive with like 20
Oh
villagers
my gosh.
because like they had so many free units so fast. Now this feels fair, right? Like
Yeah.
you can actually still beat Ottomans in late game. That's why I think the balance is kind of fair there. But like let me just say I'm glad we're not there anymore. We're in a good place. Let's buff Ottoman early game, keep them the same in the late game.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Which then brings us to Rus, who, by the touch of their, or the skin of their chinny chin chin, has managed to not be worse than HRE.
Hey, how about that?
That slight bounty bonus to give them a slightly better food economy almost lets them start to keep up with Aachen, but the free gold allows them to outpace Regnitz, and then they have the gather rate bonus for wood because of their towers. So they actually don't need to tie a pop space for prelates and stuff. And it's cheaper to build the wooden fortresses than it is to build a monastery. It's 175 versus 200, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. So finally, Rus is like, there's someone beneath me, and not by a tiny margin.
Rus is so weird when you get to that point because I feel like they used to be one of the best Imperial civs, right? Way back when. Yeah. But part of that was just the fact that they had such long range spring ults, right? That was just one, like, that was a facet that made them like way higher than they are here. Well, and like you think of Rus and you think of a late game civ, I think a lot of the time, but not these days. These days they're a castle civ, and I think they're there because they have good castle units. They're there because they have an easy way to gather relics more than anything else.
Yep, they have some good tools in castle. They have some good tools in feudal. Their Imperial is some decent tools. That's the best way I can say Rus. They're decent. They're not great, but they're okay. Yeah. And
they've
honestly,
never been bad.
Yeah, and honestly, it's funnily enough how this civ, these tiers are looking. It is almost an average of 2 civs in every tier. There is a definite this civ is good, you know, like this is where they are going to be. This is where they stand. And finally, we are to Mongols. Can you guess what I'm about to do, Penguin?
Are you gonna make a new row that's S++?
Yeah, roll Mongols. I hate you. Why? So, for frame of reference,
double
guys,
unit production, free stone from the White Stupa, traders gather extra when you get the advanced trade tech.
Here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to go over this step by step. First off, they have unique upgrades on their Gurs when the Gurs are next to the Ovus that allow them to get stone upgrades on their ecos, thus giving them some of, not the best, vills in the game. Like up there with like OTD, like genuinely they're basically OTD vills. Then you have step readouts, which that your gold vills drop off 50% more gold every time, giving you, I'm not kidding, over 110 resources per minute per vill, which blows everything else out of the water. They, on top of that, have the best trade in the game on average because they have the movement speed upgrade plus like an additional 50% resources because they get 10% as food, 10% as wood, 10% as stone, and then they can get that upgrade again, giving them another 10% as stone, then they have 10% as gold, thus giving them this insane amount of resources from trade. Then we look at the scariest parts. The fastest gather rate in the game is rams from Mongols killing farms. Penguin, I want you to guess how many resources per minute does 10 rams destroying farms give you?
Per minute?
Per minute. What do you think it is?
10 rams.
10 rams. Just 10 rams. Just 10 rams.
So it only takes like 2 rams
to
take out a farm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're one-shotting 5 farms at a time.
Let's say each ram is killing 1 farm every 10 seconds, roughly. That's how it's going. So you're killing.
Okay.
That's about where the math goes.
Yeah, I'm not good at quick maths, but let me just say that I think it's got to be somewhere like I'm
Aside
doing the
Penguin.
math. It's like 200 resources. 20. It's got to
It's
be like
okay. I'll just tell you, Penguin. It's 250 resource every time they kill a farm. They kill one farm
that's what I
every
thought.
10 seconds. They do that 6 times a minute. There's 10 of them. It's 15,000 resources a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is
Okay.
better than French or JD's trade economy discounted knights. That's with 10 rams. 10 rams, Penguin.
You I was at 200 times 10 and I was going from there.
Yeah, so for the math here, guys, just so you see what I do, each ram can roughly kill 6 farms a minute. So that's going to be 10 times 6. And now you do that 6 times because it's 10 or 6, there's 10 seconds in a minute, 60 seconds. So we times 6 again, and then we're going to times that or by 10, or that's 3,600. Now, other number is if you would say you went all rams, that was 1,500. Either way, 3,600. Let's say you went like 40 rams to just you moved them through the base while your army fought. Suddenly, now you're in like this insane category where you're getting more off of 40 rams than you would be with 120 villagers. You don't.
This is why I GG after my first building goes down against Mongol.
Yeah. It's over.
Is that an
guys.
overreaction?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, I looked at the wrong thing. The 15,000 is if you have the their trade, their vills, and 10 rams. That's what that was. But so let's say this roughly. Let's say you give up on having villagers. You decide I don't need villagers. I need a dead opponent. So you're gonna make 100 rams instead of vills and have 100 pop military with curl tie. And let's say you don't even need step readout. Yeah, fun fact, guys. If all your rams are killing farms, which obviously they're not, you're probably going to roughly get somewhere between 250,000 to 360,000 resources per minute with 100 rams going ham.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So what you're telling me, Dandy, is that Mongols are the best civ in the game.
Yeah,
You heard it here first, everyone.
Yep. When it comes to the booming potential, if you have enough resources as Mongols that you can make, let's say, 2 or 3 armies back to back, and you're able to get 100 rams set up and just move through someone's base as you go fight their army, there is not a way in the game for any civ to beat that.
Yeah.
There's just not.
Yeah.
Like they say,
That's what
they
makes
pull
Mongols good in FFA.
Yep. Not in Dominion, though, because in Dominion, they can't protect their king because they have no walls. Oh, woe is me and my no walls, despite the fact that I'm on the top of the pillar for every single part of the tier series. Feudal Civ, oh, they're really good. Oh, Castle, they're really good. Oh, Imperial, they're really good. Oh, we're in the endless grind stage of the game. I don't like you Mongols. I don't like you Mongol mains. You're bad people. You're the only civ that's above my infinite night production. Here's the thing. Here's the caveat to this. Their armies suck in Imperial. If they're not on like all hand cannoneer with curl tie, con hunter, and the con's arrows. Like
they don't have like one of those like OP units in late Imperial. They don't have a unit that just like stomps everything.
Yeah, and it's so hard to get their economy online. I fully understand where in practice Mongols is like down here. But when we're talking the potential, what a civ can do, Mongols is the strongest by far. And it's not even close. Which, hey, not gonna complain. about that in so much because I know it's difficult. As a French made in Imperial, I look at the Mongol player and I lick my lips because I know they have no walls, keeps, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to walk over to their base. They're going to have 60 vills on sheep around the TC, and I'm going to A move and kill every single one of them in seconds.
I learned by having a Mongol teammate that if you're against a Mongol player, just dive their base with armor.
Yeah.
Early. Don't do that later when they have springalds and cannons and everything else.
Yeah.
But if you do that early, you've won the game. You've set the standard.
Yeah, like there's a timing in late feudal / early castle where Mongols, if they've been fighting and booming, they have no like defense, so you can just walk in and kill all their vills. So I understand the Mongol players. Oh, woe is me and my inability to defend myself. If you were left alone, let's say you're playing a game and the Mongol player goes half an hour unopposed, there is nothing in this game that can stop them.
Yeah. Also, this is a good reminder to the Mongol players to make springald towers in Castle Age. That's a good way to defend yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not already doing that, start doing that.
Oh, and that's another thing I should mention. Cognate Palace is really, or is it Cognate Palace, the free military? Yeah, the free military one can actually give you really good resources per minute depending on what it gives you. Like, if you could get always Nesta Bees, like, it's insane. Like, we're talking really good boost to your military. Even, like, for instance, if your whole, like, thing gets wiped out and all you have is Cognate Palace, on like in a 4v4, you have a way to still help your team because you can wait to mass like 60 units while you're off building like 4 TC to catch back up, and then you can go help win a fight. You know, you send out your Kurultai, you send out your Cognate Palace army, and at least you're still a part of the game. And that's a lot of resources.
So Dandy,
yes,
there's a lot. Not to go on a big tangent here, but speaking of the Cognate Palace,
yes.
There's always discussion about if you could change it to make it equal to the White Stupa, what would you do? Like, to make it an option.
Okay, genuine. Some people may have different opinion than me on this. Obviously, I think that you remove the Palace Guard, and that's it. Because
you get the cavalry more often.
You get the cavalry, or you get the siege. Because you're not.
The Wee Wee Pow kind of kicks butt.
Yeah, it really does. Like, you're like, okay, I dropped Kurultai here with my team, and now we don't want to get inside the Red Palace range because they have it on a choke on Gorge. So we're just gonna wait till we have the 3 Wee Wee Pals and we just take it out. No problem. Very safe.
Yeah.
Like,
no more Berkshire.
Yeah, like it has some good things. I just think the Palace Guards come out too often. They're not super helpful for your like Mongol comps. Like, if I could only have horse archers, Mangadai, and like the HRE, the Rus, not HRE, the Rus warrior monks that you can be helpful for grabbing relics, because now you have a really fast monk. Pardon me.
And the Rus Knights have the upgrade when they come out too.
Yeah, and I think so
they come out elite.
Yeah, and I think the Rus monks also have their upgrade, which means they're boosting your Keshiks and stuff when they're fighting in melee. So like they have some benefits. I think that's the only thing you really need to do. And honestly, there's a lot of people I know that play Mongols don't even go White Stupa because they're focused on aggression and they rather just have the chance of getting Nesta Bees. Because they're like, oh, this
I've been crushed by it. Like to be fair, the Cognate can come out, and that extra little boost of units has finished me off a couple of times. So that's fair.
Yep. And but that's everything. Like, funnily enough, every civ really has its own spot in the grind fest. Like, this civ is like a civ you want to grind with, and and here's the thing. This is not like how easy the civ is to use, because in which case HRE would be higher, because all they do is make men-at-arm like hand cannoneer or men-at-arm crossbow. Like, they don't need a complicated build. China is going to make grenadiers and Nesta Bees. Like, a lot of these civs have a very specific army that'll be good or bad depending on your situation. and some of them are a little bit easier to use. So that's not being applied here. It's just how quickly can you mass your armies. That is what this is. And Mongols is the best just because they have the most resources by far. They have the best trade. They have the best vills. They can get resources by destroying your base. French and Jean, they have the best like Night Core production. Templars, kind of a similar thing, and they have very efficient they have very good at pop efficiency. Malians, they have so many free resources and good trade. Like it's all like if you really take a minute and think about it, this should make sense, you know?
Yeah. Thanks, Dandy. I'm going to weaponize this against my chat now whenever I complain about civs.
Yeah. When they're like, oh, my French isn't OP. My dude, you can make one knife for every one HRE minute arm. What are you talking about?
Sir Pengwin, Mongol doesn't have walls or keeps. We need to buff them. No.
No, it would be too much.
No.
We've seen their potential.
If you give them one little tweak, they'll be impossible to beat.
Yeah.
Number one civ since day one, Mongols.
They can tower rush you, and then they can trade. It's OP. Stop them. Yeah. See, here's the thing. Thank you for coming. I'm glad we could get this. Thank you, chat, or viewers, not chat. If Penguin live streams this for some reason, then thanks to his chat for watching. But no, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Penguin, for joining. Hopefully, we'll get you all in the next video, and you all enjoyed that. You all take care.